In jazz and related musical styles, the term swing is used to describe the sense of propulsive rhythmic feel, or groove created by the musical interaction between the performers, especially when the music creates a visceral response such as feet tapping or head nodding. The term swing is also used to refer to several other related jazz concepts including the swung note and the genre of swing, a jazz style which originated in the 1930s. As swing jazz was dance music and co-evolved together with swing dances such as the Lindy Hop, the term swing can be understood as music that makes the listener want to dance. Even though there is overlap between these concepts, music from any era of jazz or even from non-jazz music can be said to have swing. While some jazz musicians have called the concept of swing a subjective and elusive notion, they acknowledge that the concept is well understood by experienced jazz musicians at a practical, intuitive level. Jazz players refer to swing as the sense that a jam session or live performance is really cooking, or in the pocket. If a jazz musician states that an ensemble performance is really swinging, this suggests that the performers are playing with a special degree of rhythmic coherence and feel. Although referring to a sense of swing is often done in the context of ensemble performances, even an unaccompanied soloist can be said to be performing with swing. Description: like the term groove, which is used to describe a cohesive rhythmic feel in a funk or rock context, the concept of swing can be hard to define. Indeed, some dictionaries use the terms as synonyms: groovy, denotes music that really swings. The Jazz in America glossary defines it as, when an individual player or ensemble performs in such a rhythmically coordinated way as to command a visceral response from the listener. An irresistible gravitational buoyancy that defies mere verbal definition. The straight rhythm is a rhythm that is current like a sequence of the same notes. As a performance technique, swing has been called the most debated word in jazz. When jazz performer Cootie Williams was asked to define it, he joked, "Define it. I'd rather tackle Einstein's theory." Benny Goodman, the 1930s-era band leader nicknamed the King of Swing, called swing free speech in music, whose most important element is the liberty a soloist has to stand and play a chorus in the way he feels it. His contemporary Tommy Dorsey gave a more ambiguous definition when he proposed that swing is sweet and hot at the same time and broad enough in its creative conception to meet every challenge tomorrow may present. Boogie-woogie pianist Morris Rocco argues that the definition of swing is just a matter of personal opinion. Jeff Pressing's 2002 article claims that a feel is a cognitive temporal phenomenon emerging from one or more carefully aligned concurrent rhythmic patterns, characterized by perception of recurring pulses, and subdivision of structure in such pulses. Perception of a cycle of time, of length 2 or more pulses, enabling identification of cycle locations, and effectiveness of engaging synchronizing body responses. Treadwell concludes his introduction definition. We could go on and on. And on. But we would travel only further along the road to nowhere. What is swing? Perhaps the best answer, after all, was supplied by the Hepcat who rolled her eyes, stared into the far-off and sighed, "You can feel it, but you just can't explain it." Do you dig me? A sense of swing for jazz artists has analogies in the similarly idealized but indefinable notions of funk in funk music, or flow in the hip-hop scene and music. The notion of a special feel that defines the musical style is common in non-Western music, especially the African tradition. Flow is as elemental to hip-hop as the concept of swing is to jazz. Just as the jazz concept of swing involves performers deliberately playing behind or ahead of the beat, the hip-hop concept of flow is about funking with one's expectations of time that is, the rhythm and pulse of the music. Flow is not about what is being said so much as how one is saying it. Swing note. A swing note, or shuffle note is a performance practice, mainly in jazz-influenced music, in which some notes with equal written time values are performed with unequal durations, usually as alternating long and short. Music of the Baroque and classical notes in a copyright Gales era follows similar principles. A swing or shuffle rhythm is the rhythm produced by playing repeated pairs of notes in this way. Lilting can refer to swinging, but might also indicate syncopation or other subtle ways of interpreting and shaping musical time. A blues shuffle or shuffle pattern is a boogie groove. For example, traditional jazz music is written in April 4th but played in December 8th. Such music may be annotated with a swing, or similar, but the swing also may be assumed. In shuffle rhythm, the first note in the pair is exactly twice the duration of the second note. In swing the division is inexact, and varies depending on factors such as how fast or slow the music is, on the genre of music, or the individual tastes of the performer, from almost equal to almost shuffle. In most styles of music that use swing rhythm, the music is written with straight eighth notes, with an implicit understanding that eighth notes should be played with swing feel. Swing rhythms are sometimes notated using a quarter and an eighth note beamed under a triplet. In jazz, the verb to swing is also used as a term of praise for playing that has a strong rhythmic groove, or drive. See also swing for the 1930s-1940s jazz style, and swing for styles of dance from that same era. Types. Triplets are used in many styles of music including blues, rock and country. The basic shuffle rhythm is created by leaving out the middle note of each three-note triplet group. This triplet idea allows composers and improvising soloists to include triplets in the melody without clashing with any rhythm patterns. In most jazz music, especially of the big band era, and later, there is a convention that pairs of written eighth notes are not played equally as the notation would otherwise be understood but with the first longer than the second. The first note of each of these pairs is often understood to be twice as long as the second, implying a quarter note eighth note triplet feel, but in practice the difference is rarely that pronounced. Swing eighth notes are generally played legato. Accenting the and between each beat slightly is also a common swing characteristic. Various rhythmic swing approximations, 1-1 equals eighth note plus eighth note, straight eighths. Play rhythm from introduction with no shuffle, as straight eighths, 3-2 equals long eighth plus short eighth, swing, or shuffle play example with light swing, 2-1 equals triplet quarter note plus triplet eighth, triple meter. Medium swing, or medium shuffle play example, 3-1 equals dotted eighth note plus 16th note. Hard swing, or hard shuffle play example with hard swing. In true swing feel, the ratio lies somewhere between 1-1 and 3-1, and can vary considerably. Swing feel is an assumed convention of notation in many styles of jazz. In big band, blues, bebop, and contemporary jazz, swing feel is assumed, unless shuffle is explicitly specified in the score. Notes that are not swung are called straight notes. The subtler end of the range involves treating written pairs of eighth notes as slightly asymmetrical pairs of similar values. On the other end of the spectrum, the dotted eighth, 1/16th rhythm, consists of a long note 3 times as long as the short. Prevalent dotted rhythms such as these in the rhythm section of dance bands in the mid-20th century are more accurately described as a shuffle. They are also an important feature of Baroque dance and many other styles. Rhythms identified as swung notes most commonly fall somewhere between straight eighths and a quarter eighth triplet pattern. Swing ratios tend to get wider at slower tempos and narrower at faster tempos. Miles Davis varied his swing ratios, frequently delaying the first note of each pair of eighth notes by as much as 100 milliseconds and then synchronizing with the drummer's short eighth note. Quarter notes can sound swung when they are played slightly behind the beat, detached, and accented on the 2 and 4, or late on 1 and 3, but closer to the beat on 2 and 4. Phrases swing when they begin between the beats, similar to how straight eighths can swing when they are behind the beat, which creates an asymmetrical cross rhythm. Rhythm. In jazz, this interpretive device is assumed in most written music other than Dixieland, Latin jazz, jazz funk and jazz fusion, but may also be indicated. For example, Satin Doll, a swing-era jazz standard, is normally interpreted with a pronounced swing rhythm. It was published written in April 4th time, but at least some versions also note medium swing. In dance music, swing rhythm generally refers to the meter of the music, rather than to this convention of notation, so any music played with a near triplet timing and swing accent will be referred to as swing rhythm however they are written. Styles. Swing is commonly used in blues, country, jazz, 1930s-1940s swing jazz, and often in many other styles. Except for very fast jazz, slow ballads, Latin jazz, and jazz rock fusion, much written music in jazz is assumed to be performed with a swing rhythm. In some cases, publishers specify that the music is to be performed with a swing. In jazz and big band music, a shuffle is almost always accompanied by a distinctive cooking rhythm played on the right cymbal or hi-hat. Styles that always use traditional rhythms, resembling hard swing, include foxtrot, quick-step and some other ballroom dances, stride piano, and 1920s-era novelty piano. Transcription equals. In the swing era, swing meant accented triplets, suitable for dancing. With the development of bebop and later jazz styles independent of dancing, the term was used for far more general timings. Musicians in the jazz tradition prefer to transcribe swing music in a simple time signature and play it with an implicit swing. Musicians in the classical tradition prefer to make the swing explicit by using compound time or triplets within a duple meter, and play it as written. However, most jazz musicians will dispute whether music played this way truly has a swing feel. Rosanna Shuffle. The Rosanna Shuffle is the drum pattern from the Grammy Award-winning Toto hit, Rosanna. It is known as a half-time shuffle, and shows definite jazz influence. Featuring ghost notes and derived from the combination of what Jeff Porcaro called the Bernard Purdie half-time shuffle, and the variation thereof John Bonham played in Fool in the Rain with the well-known Bo Diddley beat. The pattern is notoriously difficult. It was originated and played by Jeff Porcaro on the recording. This was the most requested piece to be played and explained at his many clinics, appearances, and Q&A sessions, as well as on his instructional videos. See also: Clave for the rhythms of Latin jazz and Latin dance, half-time shuffle, jig for the swung triplets of Celtic music, triplets with a swing feel to them, not to be confused with the swung duplets of triplet swing. Folk hornpipe of the dotted note variety, often notated in February 4 for the 3/1 hard swing shuffle of Celtic music. Notes in a copyright Gales, a 17th-century French usage of similar meters and notation, polyrhythm, shuffle music swing and shuffle beats in electronic music. References. Further reading: Floyd, Samuel A., J.R. Ringshout. Literary Studies, Historical Studies, and Black Music Inquiry, Black Music Research Journal 11-2, pages 265-28. Featuring a socio-musicological description of swing in African American music. Rubin, Dave. Art of the Shuffle for Guitar, an exploration of shuffle, boogie, and swing rhythms. ISBN 0-7935-4206-5. Clark, Mike and Paul Jackson. Rhythm Combination. ISBN 0-7119-8049-7. Middleton, Richard. Form. Key Terms in Popular Music and Culture. Malden, Massachusetts. ISBN 0-631-21263-9. Paragraph Glare, J. A. Searching for Swing. Participatory Discrepancies in the Jazz Rhythm Section. Ethnomusicology 39, 21 54. External links: The Swing Thing, a web application that converts regular songs into a swing time through video resources, swung notes, more swing rhythm videos made with bounce metronome which can play swing rhythms, Jeff Porcaro, Drummer World. Including the actual beat with transcription. Toto for lyrics, official Toto website. Rosanna by Toto, songfacts.com. Rosanna by Toto from music.yahoo.com. Jazz guitar solos for band in a box.